It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with certified financial planners Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being here, friends. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners in the program. Across from me in the KFG studios, my business partner and founder of KFG, Kevin Korhorn.
Yeah, well, as certified financial planners, we've seen numerous examples of people and families that have reached lasting, enduring financial success. And the question is, are there common habits or actions shared by those individuals and ones that you could put into practice to achieve financial success as well? We're going to hit that and more coming up on this hour of the Wise Money Show.
A special episode today. Glad to have in the studio with us friends of Kevin's, friends of the firm, financial planners, Rob Hoxton, Larry Maddox. And so we've got, oh my goodness, dare I say, 100 years of financial planning experience packed here on these microphones. So we're going to get into it today. If you have a question for the program, might get into listener questions later. We'd love to hear from you. Call or text us, 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Online, wisemoneyshow.com is where you can find us. Send questions there as well. And then all over social media, wherever you're at, we are there as well. Not on TikTok, but you can find us. Just search Wise Money Show, and you can reach out to us that way as well. So, yeah, special episode. Rob, Larry, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
And so, Kevin, why don't you give a soft intro, and then we'll have him introduce himself.
Okay, so quick intro. This is a show about financial planning. And so if you've tuned in today to listen to financial planning, we want to delight you. We are delighted by studying and practicing financial planning in the 6 formal areas of financial planning. And in my journey, it occasionally has been a lonely road, but back in 1997, I went to a coaching program in Chicago called the Strategic Coach Program. And one day a quarter, we would go into Chicago and we would get coached. And it was a coaching program for entrepreneurs. And I met a pretty amazing group of people in that coaching program. And Rob and Larry and Jeff, who's not here.
We've had Jeff on the show. Yeah,
we have had Jeff on the show, but he's not in the studio today. So Rob and Jeff and Larry and I have been doing a quarterly conference call, and once a year we get together somewhere between Atlanta or Houston, and so it's been a great run. I think of the great things that I've learned from these good friends and how they've sharpened us, and their friends who are willing to look you in the eye and say, I think you're wrong, and you might be making a mistake there. And so it's been a great journey. Part of KFG is what it is today because of their influence.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Rob, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Rob Hoxton, financial planner from Shepherdstown, West Virginia, which is about 60 miles northwest of Washington, D.C., and, one of my best friends is Kevin, and I love his humility, right? So he says that we correct him if he's wrong, but, he's never really wrong.
As he likes to say, most humble guy I know.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, Mike, I'm remarkably humble.
And so you run a financial planning firm, and you've practiced for a few decades.
Yeah, 32 years, much of it alongside with Kevin and Larry and Jeff, who Kevin mentioned earlier as well, and we've just it's been great. We've been able to keep each other in line and talk about difficult situations with clients and help people be successful. It's been a lot of fun.
Which is going to be the topic of the program. Larry, introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Larry Maddox from Houston, Texas. Kind of got to know these guys, as Kevin said. I run a financial planning firm there. I previously ran a CPA firm that specialized in tax planning and compliance. And I've been at it, did I say 25 years already?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So got a couple of partners that help me. And, I think all of us are about helping our clients achieve financial success. And we've really shared the ways and means that we've done it so that each of us can get better at what we provide to our clients over time.
It's interesting. So not to get, too spiritual or biblical, but Scripture talks about wisdom and great choices coming from the counsel of many advisors. And so it's interesting as you are pursuing financial success, which we're going to get into, tap these guys' brains, you got to have great counsel. You've got to have a great guide, a great coach. And it's interesting, even great coaches for you have worked together to collaborate to coach each other. This collaboration is, in my opinion, and Kevin said it, is part of the success that Rob, you've had, Larry, you've had, is your own saw sharpening from your peers.
Oh, couldn't agree more. It is so true. Still pay for coaching and get it from these guys.
Yeah. Well, let's get into financial success and hopefully lay out and walk down the road of, well, what do you need to do? What are the building blocks to achieve financial success? Before we do, guys, how would you define financial success? You've all seen it from clients. Some clients walk in your office and they start sharing their financial journey and where they're at financially, and you can sense, okay, they've reached a certain level of financial success. Some are still pursuing it. What does financial success mean? How would you define it?
Well, I'll go first. I think financial success is, I would put it in the terms of financial peace. And if you said who has financial success, it really is the person who's achieved a balance. And balance, depending on how you are wired, can be a tricky thing to achieve. But if you can live your life free of worry about money and have the clarity and confidence that you've got the right habits and you're doing the right things, that over time will get you where you want to go, that is incredibly freeing. And if you're free of that worry, you're able to do the things that you probably need to do that will put you in a position to achieve financial success.
Yeah, I think you're right on, and there's almost sort of an alignment that needs to occur between a person's values and goals and their resources, and how to organize those. The money is part of it. It's the fuel for the trip, right? But it's not everything.
Right.
It's not everything.
Yeah. So, Kevin, one of your favorite sayings I've heard you say countless times: money is
it's like oxygen. You need it to live. But it's not, if that is all you're focused on, you'll be fairly miserable.
Mm-hmm. Is financial success having just a certain number of decimal points or certain amount saved up?
J. Paul Getty, when asked how much is enough, I think he said $1 more than I have. So that is, the pursuit of riches. It's kind of like drinking salt water. I mean, the more you drink, the thirstier you get. So if that is the end, is more decimal points and more zeros, it's likely when you get to the end, you'll be like Solomon and say, is all for naught.
Mm. And talking about the end, one of the things I thought about it as I was preparing for this morning is one of the most important things people need in order to get to a place of financial success is focus. And they need to have an idea about what it is they want. Mm-hmm. And if you're not seeking, financial, you don't have financial goals. You don't want to leave money to your kids. You can accumulate all kinds of money, and it doesn't really mean anything to you because you don't really accomplish the goals that you've set out. Yeah,
you're not satisfied. You're not fulfilled. It's interesting. So I'm just jotting down a couple of things that it said, having financial peace, having balance. Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, if you eat nothing but ramen noodles for your entire career, you might have a lot of money that you've been able to save up, but then you'll look back on those times saying, wait a second, I totally missed the journey. We didn't do vacations, didn't have a lot of experience. So balance, free of worry. But Larry, you said focus and awareness of what you want. Ties right into something I was thinking. Oftentimes we say the benefit of financial planning, comprehensive financial planning, is being able to live the life that you're called to. Mm-hmm. Now, again, not to get overly spiritual. That might be a true calling and feeling of purpose for your life and how you spend your time, how you invest your time. It could also just be knowing what you want, awareness of the life that you want to live, and being free to be able to do that and pursue that. And so, financial success, guys, I think we're all saying, can mean different things to different people. Sure. There's no sort of external person or guide that says this is what financial success looks like. It's what are you focused on? What do you want your life to be about? And are you on track to be achieving that? So here's the question. What does that track look like? Are there certain habits, as we've all seen folks that have reached some level of financial success, are there similar habits that they've applied? So we're going to break that down, help you achieve financial success. That and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show. What you're watching right now is our weekly 1-hour talk show that airs right here on this channel, 10 a.m. Eastern time every Saturday morning, and also on podcast at the same time as well, but also on a couple local radio stations as well, which is why the content's broken up the way that it is. It's long. It's a talk show, and yeah, 45 minutes or so. But if you're looking for content that's more direct, more palatable, maybe, we've got Next Wise Step videos that air right here on this channel Monday through Friday, 10 minutes long, 8 minutes long, 12 minutes long if I get a little blabby, and taking one financial concept, applying it directly to your financial life, all to help you take your next wise step. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you're aware every time we drop new content. If you like the content, share it as well. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. So this is what we call bonus content. So the tape's rolling for YouTube, but it's not for the radio. So, and so we just tee up what's in the next segment, and then we're rolling. So how are we doing this, brother?
Well, now we're getting into it. So that took, it goes fast. You're not going to be able to say everything. It flies. It flies. So, but now, like, we've got like free roam, like however we want to use it. But it's really about, well, ideally there's a story or two, but what are some of the habits that people can consistently apply that lead to financial success?
Are you going to tee up habits and why habits matter?
Yeah.
James Clear is the number one some sort of author. He has the number one spot.
Really?
And that book he wrote years ago, Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it's a good reminder.
Okay, so here's a little bonus content. I have no idea if this will come out on the actual air, but oftentimes we'll hear questions. Hey, what books should we read, listen to, whatever? And Atomic Habits is right up there. Mm-hmm. And while it doesn't have direct financial content, oh my goodness, it's indirect, and it's right there. It all applies. So check out. I don't know, James. This is not a some sort of advertisement, but
dude, I'm sure James Clear is listening to the show.
Hey, James.
Thanks for listening, James. We appreciate your listenership, and we think you wrote a great book.
Atomic Habits. Check it out.
I met him in Texas.
Yeah.
We hung out a little bit.
I'd also, I know you said sharpen the saw.
Oh my
Stephen
goodness.
Covey's
Seven Habits
is a spectacular book,
Larry,
which covers the waterfront. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't have time to read the book, just Google 7 Habits and click on images, and you can see them. And private victories precede public victories, and what are the habits that I should have?
Oh my goodness. Okay, we got to go because we're stealing content from the show because we have to talk about this.
Okay, well let's
do it.
Been caught stealing.
All right, here we go. Second segment. What habits, consistently applied behaviors, what habits lead to financial success? Guys, a little bonus content right now. I'm just jazzed. We're going to be laying out those habits that we've seen other people use to achieve financial success that you can achieve as well. So thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and special guests Larry Maddox and Rob Hoxton. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on podcast. Wherever you listen, go search Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Subscribe to it or follow us there and then rate the program there as well. We appreciate it. Helpful feedback for us. Also, for folks that are looking for content on taking their next wise step, helps them find us as well. We appreciate it. So in the room, so Kevin, entrepreneur, launched and founded Korhorn Financial Group. Rob, the same with his firm. Larry as well. And so we've got lots of experience. serving folks at various parts of their financial journey. And we're focusing then on, well, those that have gone on to achieve financial success, what are the similarities or commonalities? And so we're just going to free flow on that. What are those habits? Now, over the break, we were talking about a couple of books. One, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Fantastic book. If you haven't read it or listened to it, you need to. And there's no direct financial content in it. There's a little bit of reference. However, the principles are absolutely applicable to your financial life.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. If you're seeking results, and there's a spectrum, and I know we're talking, I don't want to get political or cultural, but there's a spectrum of results, and I think we want to have similarity of results. Well, listen, we don't have that choice, but there's a spectrum. So where do your results come from? They come from your behaviors. Where do those behaviors come from? They actually trace back to your thinking. And your thinking sort of creates those behaviors and determines which ones are habitual. And you have choice. You have choice over your thinking. You have choice over your habits. So that's one. But then second, Larry got me all excited. My favorite book is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, late Stephen Covey. And the first habit is being proactive. Guys, I'm just going to throw that out there. I haven't seen someone become financially successful that wasn't proactive financially, thinking ahead about where they wanted to go and what disciplines were needed in order to achieve the results they were seeking. So to me, foundationally, if you aren't proactive financially, I don't know how you achieve financial success.
That's true. I see it in practice all the time. You know, we meet with so many people over the last 32 years that I've been doing it. Oftentimes they know what the habits are. It's just like I know that I can't eat Dunkin' Donuts every morning or I'm going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Do I avoid the Dunkin' Donuts? Not always. So oftentimes we know what those right habits are. It's just a matter of doing it. And usually the adjustments in our lifestyle are pretty small, just like James Clear said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just very small.
1% better, right? The small micro changes compound over time, so compound interest. See,
But the confusing thing is we're talking about behavioral adjustments, and really it is beliefs, because your behavior flows out of your beliefs. So if you say, I've got bad behavior financially or in some other aspect of your life, why is that? Is it just because I can't fix my behavior? No, you need to work on what do you believe. And sometimes it's uncomfortable because you think, well, if I were going to behave like this, it would mean I believe that something else, and I don't want to believe that I believe that. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Okay, so being proactive. Okay, what about saving up? There's got to be a savings discipline in order to achieve financial success, right? Mm-hmm. And so is there a commonality there as far as those that achieve financial success, either started early, saved a certain amount, they maxed out? What's been your experience?
Well, that's certainly the case. We end up getting a lot of divergent clients in the firm, and many of them have already achieved financial well-being, let's call it, and they may still not have accomplished everything they want. But a lot of new clients, younger ones in particular, haven't ever really started to begin the habits that they need. And, just something as simple as, I have 2 babies at home, and they're going to go to college in 13 years and 15 years. And I'd really like to be able to afford to for them to go to college. And you start putting $50 a month or $100 a pay period into a 529 plan, that we've seen it happen over the years. That turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm.
So I love that. In fact, if you can put that on autopilot, Larry, as you know,
yeah.
If you're young, you have this huge opportunity ahead of you if you will just do a couple of things the right way. Get into that 401k and have an escalator. So each year you get a little bit of a pay raise. You're on a percentage basis. You're saving more. Make it so that you're not having to actually do something every week in order to build wealth.
Yeah, more retirement plans now have that auto increase feature where you can say, I'm going to increase what I'm contributing 5%, but I want to increase it 1% a year until it gets to 10% or 12 or 15%. And if you do that, because as a young person, time is on your side. So what's the most important financial decision you'll ever make in your life? and it's different depending on your age, but as a young person, it's definitely your asset allocation. And forgive me, because I know this is a jargon-free zone, but what you're investing in matters. Right. When my son Joshua got to Fort Jackson and was able to sign up for the TSP when he was in the Army, they said, hey, put it in the I don't know what it is, the government bond fund, whatever.
G fund, I think.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, honey, do not do that. You're 100% equity 100% of the time. You are 18. You're not going to need this money for 40 plus years. Don't do that.
Okay, so I want to draw out what we just said. So one habit absolutely is save early, save often, but save automatically. And while I'm not a fan, we've talked about it before, I'm not a fan of putting your 401k or retirement plan choices on autopilot. I absolutely am a fan, we are, of increasing your contributions at 1% a year. If you can do that automatically as well, fantastic. If not, stay tuned in the Wise Money Show because we're going to remind you a few times every single year. So that's one. And save early, save often, make it automatic. But then that's got to be combined with that second habit of folks that have achieved financial success. They've been disciplined investors. So why, Kevin? Why would the folks at the Army base say the G fund? Probably because they're sick of young folks who have never invested before looking at their statement, seeing that they lost money, and then going and complaining about it. So they said, I don't want the headache. I don't want to listen to it. Just do the G fund, and you won't see the accounts go down. You won't come belly aching to me. That's the wrong thing. That's not. It's not wise counsel.
Right.
Having a disciplined investment strategy, no matter what the market's doing, that is absolutely a foundational habit for those that achieve financial success.
Mike, the other thing, and I think you touched on it, is when you're getting advice about what to do, make sure you get it from somebody who's, one, taking your best interests at heart, and two, knows what they're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with shortcutting the decision making from the guy's side that's signing you up for this, but go ask somebody who knows what they're doing.
So with all this work from home garbage and everything else, like people don't talk around the water cooler anymore. But early on in my career, I remember seeing a statistic of how many people would get a stock advice from someone at the water cooler. You barely know this person, and if they're talking about a certain stock, you're more tempted or likely to jump into it yourself. Who are you getting financial advice from? Is it from your neighbor? Is it from your parent? Is it from a coworker, or is it from wise counsel?
So just as an example, we had Colin, my colleague who's here with me, yesterday had a client email him and said she has a very small portfolio and has not been wise.
Okay.
We're trying to bring her along. She called yesterday and wanted to buy some NVIDIA, right? And NVIDIA is a great company.
Yeah.
But it's not part of getting a proper asset allocation. And
as of today's recording, NVIDIA's market capitalization, what the company is worth based on its outstanding shares, is more than Apple. It's now the number 2 company in the world. And the amazing thing about NVIDIA is their revenue is 5% of Apple's revenue.
Yeah, that's wild.
And so you think, how could that be? I guess, I mean, I'd like to be NVIDIA, but here's the thing. If you're getting counsel, get counsel from someone who's been there before and seen it before, because this same thing happened with Cisco when they got bigger than Microsoft back in the late 90s, and that didn't end well.
Yeah, you got to be working with the right guide and the right comprehensive CFP that's doing comprehensive financial planning, and I would also say someone that is working with other peers trying to improve their craft and sharpen the saw. So what are the other habits that lead to financial success? We've got that more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Good stuff. Good. Or at least I think it's good. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, my favorite, in the spirit of bonus content, Larry said you got to have focus and you need to know there's a direction. Where am I going? And my favorite quote is Alice says, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" And the Cheshire Cat said, "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to." And Alice said, "I don't much care where. And the Cheshire Cat said, then it doesn't much matter which way you go.
Yeah.
So this is where if you know where you want to go, then you have a shot at getting there.
That's tough, though. It's tough for a lot of people to know what, because they don't vision, if they're being coached, they probably vision what the future might look like for them, but they don't really think about that oftentimes.
Well, that's what's so important about what we do, is to help people develop the vision.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, so I'm assuming organically a lot more habits that we can share. So going in the third segment, I'd hope that still the same content. We're just bouncing off each other.
Okay, so do we want to tee up any particular habits, or just
What you got?
free flow?
Free flow. I've got a few more in my mind.
Okay.
So, but
I'm not showing my cards.
all right, third segment. Here we go. What role does debt play in financial success? We've got some pretty big personalities out there talking about how much they use debt, and they have this at least platform where that seems like they are achieving financial success. So what role does it play? We're talking about financial success right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn, special guest Rob Hoxton, Larry Maddox. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Go to YouTube, search the Wise Money Show, subscribe to it there. Turn on notifications. Well over 1,000 videos. If you're facing it, likely we've developed some content about it. Can help you. So go to the YouTube channel, search the Wise Money Show, subscribe to it there. So we're dissecting financial success. Mm-hmm. Those that have gone on to achieve financial success, which we've defined as they've got financial peace. They have clarity of purpose, and they're free to live the financial life they're called to. They've got balance. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think of financial success, and free of worry and yeah. So what are the steps? What are the habits that you can consistently apply to achieve that? Lobbed it out there. What role does debt play?
I'll take that. So I think of debt kind of like I think of any tool, like a chainsaw. I live on a farm, heat my house with wood. Chainsaw is a great tool, but if you're not careful, you can really do permanent damage to yourself. And so if you use debt properly, it can be a great thing. But you have to ask yourself this question: who owns your future? Mm-hmm. Right? Who owns your future? Is it a bank or is it you? So use it sparingly for sure.
Yeah, and I think in the spirit of analogies, I think of debt as fire. So fire can heat your house, and fire can burn it down.
Oh,
So
wow.
what are you using it for? And if you're using debt for lifestyle, you really shouldn't. And so I know some people say, well, I can't function without having that. And that's where you want to say, what are my beliefs and what are my skills? So if I have the belief that I need this, then I might be in trouble. I might use debt to achieve it. But if you can get good at discerning between what's a need and what's a want, and how can I live on less, and only use debt for long-term kind of acquisitions, and stay away from consumer debt. The entire world is constructed to separate you from your money. And so you want to be aware of that. Like I'm not I'm not paranoid, but everyone is out to get you. So
They are, and this is this is where good counsel can make a big difference, because we all are built with this tendency to do this sort of girl math, boy math thing that you hear about on TikTok and such, where we justify borrowing money for any number of reasons that quietly we're giving our future away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think about it right now, the U.S., we are potentially on the precipice of some sort of debt crisis, upward debt spiral, because the debt service, rain or shine, good or bad, recession or not, now $1 trillion of interest. It's wild, right? And so you can look at that and say, oh, that's egregious. And yet what's going on in your own financial situation, being responsible with the amount of debt. And yet you've got some folks, rich dad, poor dad, Robert Kiyosaki, saying, I've got how much debt does he have, right?
yeah, I don't know. Is he related to Robert Kiyosaki?
Kiyosaki, thank you. And so, but you've got others. Also, I can't pronounce their last name either. But that talk about leverage. Here's the deal: anytime you're using debt, it's creating risk, more risk, and it's potentially jeopardizing your financial future, right? So,
but Rob's talking about what is your future and who owns your future. But the other thing is, what do you want to spend your life thinking about? And I can't imagine if the volume of debt that Robert Kiyosaki has, Mr. Rich Dad Poor Dad, and if I had that kind of debt, I think the only thing I would think about when I woke up is, what is my debt? And by the time I went to bed, I'd look back and all I thought about all day is, what was my debt? What does my debt service look like? Am I making the payments? And so that we were talking about peace or freedom, that it's not in that model.
I completely agree. Another thing that I was thinking is Charlie Munger, I think. And I think I said that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, good. Munger? Charlie Munger.
Nice job, Michael P. Roth Bernard.
One of his quotes that has just stuck to me is, you think the economy is run, or the world is run by, consumer and consumption. And he says, no, it's run by envy. Mm-hmm. It's run by envy.
Oh, wow.
And to me, and if you noodle on that for a while, he's absolutely right. But here's the thing. Can you achieve financial success being driven and fueled by envy? No. Your envy will steal your joy. You will end up getting, subliminally or subconsciously, financial advice from your neighbors or these other people that you're trying to keep up with or chase after, and it will be all for naught. You cannot achieve financial freedom trying to make decisions that will impress others or achieve some external view or perception of financial success if you're not anyway. So
yeah. And if you're struggling to do this and you can't do it yourself, it's quite likely that you need an external stimulus. So that, for us, we met in a coaching program. So we believe in coaching. We believe in professional advice. And so if you're listening and you're not satisfied with the clarity that you have in your financial life or the confidence, then find a coach, find a planner, and make sure that planner is certified. And a certified financial planner should be able to tell you what the 6 areas of financial planning are.
Well, and if you look through that lens on the things that we've hit, we're touching all 6 areas, and I'm intentionally going to go to one, and that is, if you're achieving financial success, if you're building wealth, one of the things that can keep you up at night or make you worried is, do I have the right plan that if something happens to me, these dollars are going to go where I would want them to go? So I would also say a hallmark or one of the habits of financial success is having a contingency plan, and I would say estate plan.
Mm-hmm. No question about that. If everybody has an estate plan, just some of them aren't written down. Mm-hmm. And we've recently had a client whose husband died without a will. It's just been a nightmare uncovering all the assets, getting them transferred. And if you've got kids, you need to tell people. Again, this is all goal setting. Mm-hmm. You want your kids to grow up healthy and happy. Mm-hmm. Well, you need to tell the court where to put them and who to put them with, and not only the estate plan, but if you need insurance to cover some of the expenses associated with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, and joking, well, I'll be dead. I don't need to worry about it, right? And yet, at the same time, when you think about financial success, sometimes your brain might go to leaving a legacy, or what influence are you leaving behind, and financially, what influence, what condition? How you structure your finances can create a lot of strife, or can create peace. Can be a blessing, can be a curse.
Yeah, that nightmare story that Larry shared, we've all had those, and we've all seen and had the situation where the kids have come and said, I can't believe how easy that was. But that's because mom and dad ran the miles, they did the work, and they had everything buttoned up. So when they left this earth, everything was in good order. Mm-hmm. And that's possible. And if you haven't run that fire drill, I would do it.
I'm going to add one more. This is the last one that I have on my kind of mental list here. A habit of those that are financially successful, and that is doing tax planning. That's so geeky. But listen, when you make money, you pay taxes. When you spend money, you get to pay some tax on that. When you own property, you're paying taxes. When you own investments, you're paying taxes. And it's categorically, taxes will be the largest expense of your lifetime. And therefore, as you're trying to build wealth, again, not for wealth's sake or for building an ego or pride, but so that you can live the life that you're called for. If you don't have a strategy for making sure Uncle Sam's hand is not grabbing dollars out of your wealth, and for themselves, if you don't have that strategy, it's going to be hard for you to reach financial success. And you can say, that's an irritating system. I agree. It is irritating. We had one of the contributors to the Tax Cut and Jobs Act on the show talking about the U.S. system and all the manipulation. And yeah, it's tiresome. And yet, if you're trying to build financial wealth, financial success, you have to understand what strategies you can employ so that Uncle Sam's not grabbing too much of your wealth. You've got to be working with a CFP that's incorporating tax planning into your financial planning. All right, what are some of the other habits for financial success, mistakes you need to avoid as well? We've got that more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Okay, fourth segment.
Oh, man.
Goes fast.
It does go fast.
So we can get into, it's tricky because when I was thinking of talking about financial success, everyone's made financial mistakes. And so a listener could feel a little bit, frustrated, thinking, well, I've made some mistakes, and they're, acutely aware of those. So I feel like it might be good to talk about that. What role mistakes play in financial and building financial success. And then if there are a few mistakes where you'd say, listen, we're all going to make financial mistakes, but gosh, do your darndest to avoid this one or this one. I think that might be good.
Oh, that'd be.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about tax planning a little bit too? Is that the idea?
We'll start. We'll start there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll start there. So fourth segment, landing the plane.
Okay. So Mike, hand it to Rob. He's ready.
I will. Got it. Anything else we want to make sure we hit?
No, I like that. Because when you talk about the call reluctance and am I willing to call to get help when I feel self-conscious about what I've done or not done?
Yeah.
And so I think we can give an encouraging word to the listeners.
Got it. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn, special guests, Rob Hoxton, Larry Maddox. Guys, thanks for being here. On the show today, we've got, over 100 years of financial planning experience. We've retired thousands of times. We've helped people sell businesses. We've helped people recover from financial mistakes. We're going to get into that in just a minute. So question for you is, as you're pursuing financial success, do you have the right coach? Do you have the right guide? You've got to be working with a certified financial planner, doing comprehensive financial planning, and seeking that wise counsel we talked about. That's one of the habits. So stay up to date on all Wise Money content. You can find us online, wisemoneyshow.com, and then all over social media. You can reach out to us there as well. So, all right. We left off on tax planning and the role that plays, the importance of that in reaching financial success.
Yeah, Mike, the thing with tax planning, we all live these lives where it seems like we're in a sprint. Time flies. We're all busy. We've got things going on with kids, grandkids, work, all of these things. It's so easy not to slow down enough to do a little bit of planning. And when you look at, what's available from a tax planning standpoint, there's a shortage of CPAs. Mm-hmm. And so they're doing tax returns, but they don't have the time to provide good advice. And when you miss an opportunity or you make a mistake from a tax standpoint, it's not just that year, but the value of that mistake or the cost of that mistake compounded over a lifetime, huge. Can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases.
And it's hard to know. Larry is a CPA as well as a CFP, and he's one of those rare birds that can give advice. Most CPAs are kind of left-brained and compliance-oriented. And so if you're compliance-oriented, you're likely not planning-oriented, whether it's a function of what you have time to do or not do, or just how you're wired. So
in defense of CPAs, I think it's the time constraint for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you end up getting this massive input of stuff you need to do in a short period of time, and it's just hard to take a step back and think about what you ought to be telling them to do in the future.
I think it's interesting that byproduct of this crazy kind of rush that we have, tax season is what we call it, but then also this shortage of CPAs. It's going to make the problem worse. It's even less likely that you're going to get financial advice or actual tax planning. But what's culture's solution to that? Technology. Oh, you can do it yourself. Well, how are you getting any advice when you're doing that? TurboTax might feel like, see, mission accomplished. I got my taxes done. No, what you really needed was tax planning, the proactive, there again, 7 habits, the proactive guidance on how you can pay the least amount of tax over your lifetime, not just tax preparation.
Yeah. Taylor Rhoda, one of our all-stars, gave an example of that yesterday when we were in case class, and she was talking about how she's working with a client, and they've got pretty amazing income, and they hadn't fully funded their HSA. And so before, as she was preparing the return, she reached out and gave them the opportunity to do some after-the-fact tax planning, and they did it. Most operations aren't set up to have the time or energy, because I don't think the CPA shortage is the issue. I think the CPA shortage relates to preparation. I think the tax planning piece, that shortage, it will remain unchanged. It will just be massive.
I want to talk about financial mistakes. And listen, if you've been hanging tight through the content here, we're talking about financial success, and hopefully we steered you away from envy, because if you think financial success, you might immediately start thinking of someone that maybe, perceptive, that you think has it. One of my favorite sayings is, there are folks that display wealth and folks that have wealth, and often those aren't the same people. So try to steer you away from that cul-de-sac. But you could also be thinking very acutely of the financial mistakes that you've made. Think of your house. You know all the blemishes in your house. I can see exactly where Kuiper in our living room was playing baseball and let go of the bat, and it hit, thankfully, between the TV and a big window. But I had to patch it. I have no skills. And so I can clearly see the dent that's still there in the mismatched paint. And I'm aware of that. And so when we go to sell the house at some point, I'm going to think, no one's going to want this house because they've got that. And no. So in your financial life as well, everyone has made financial mistakes. Everyone. Don't let them hold you back. So guys, speak to financial mistakes that are made on the path to still achieving financial success. And then if there are some mistakes that you would say, listen, we're all going to make them, but do your best to avoid these. Let's get into that too.
I've got one related to taxes that just everybody ought to be aware of, which is your estimated tax payments. If you don't make those ratably over the course of the year, if they're not enough payments, the interest rate that the IRS charges is now like 8%. 8%, right? Yeah. It used to be 1 or 2, and it was nominal. But I mean, we see returns all the time where somebody owes $2,000 or $3,000 that they really didn't need to pay.
Yeah.
So that's something to be aware of, or talk to your CPA about, or pay attention to yourself.
Yeah, I think with mistakes, the real problem is when people have mistakes or financial regrets, it will slow them down or even stop them from seeking financial wisdom. It will give them call reluctance. I don't want to call and talk to Rob because I've never worked with a financial planner, and if I go in and talk to Rob, I'm going to have to show him what I've done, and I'm incredibly embarrassed. Most people that have experienced fraud don't report it because there's a shame or an embarrassment factor. So I would encourage you, if you're listening today, everyone that you know has made at least one big financial mistake, and big is relative, so some people's big mistake is different than others. But most people have made that, and if you spend your life giving energy towards the regret or the shame of that, it's not going to help you. So work with a coach that can encourage you and get you past that and help you direct your energy towards making a better future and not dwelling on your past.
Yeah, I completely agree. When new folks come into KFG, the most common phrase that they say is, I wish I would have started earlier. So what's holding you back? And if it's this shame or regret or I'm going to have to show my financial situation. They're going to instantly see that I should be further along. Or they're not going to be able to help me, or whatever, because of these mistakes that I made. No. That's the boogeyman. You've conjured that up in your mind. It's not reality. Go work with the CFP, and this is why we say it every time. CFP doing comprehensive financial planning, because they're in your corner. They don't care about your financial mistakes. They want you to get moving towards where you're wanting to go.
Yeah, a CFP that acts as a fiduciary, it's a safe place.
Yeah.
Right. There's no judgment. There's just solutions, hopefully. And for me, it's like going to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor because the first thing they do, put me on a scale.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And I hate it. And right there, it just tells the whole story that you have not been doing what I told you to do, Rob, because you've gained
Shame
4
on
pounds.
you.
So when I then think, so I would argue, gosh, I don't know if there's a financial mistake that you can't recover from.
There's not. And I think that, there's an old saying about when the best time to plant a tree is.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
But the next best time is now.
Yeah.
And we don't really care about your mistakes other than, hopefully you don't repeat them.
Right.
We can start right now, define your goals and objectives, and help you.
And we're
move
glad you're
forward.
here. We're
Yeah,
really glad
completely.
you're here. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the couple of the mistakes that I would tease out to say, hey, gosh, do what you can to avoid these. Kevin has said, I challenged him on it originally, but I just time and truth go hand in hand. I think he's absolutely right. The biggest financial decision you're going to make is your asset allocation, and saying that a little bit easier is your disciplined investment strategy. Mm-hmm. So sticking to that, I think one of the most common mistakes that we would urge you not to make is deviating from that long-term investment strategy like the wind. And we said that discipline is part of achieving financial success. So the opposite of that would be a mistake that we would want to coach you to avoid. Any others that really stand out that you guys would say, oh, gosh, I would sidestep this one?
Well, I wanted to say something about this earlier, but when you're in a position of receiving stock compensation from your company, our normal advice is to sell it immediately. That's compensation. Don't leave it out there to be subject to the vagaries of the market. But a lot of people do. And we had people back in the day, we were in Houston, we had several people that had big stock positions in Enron, which that's like almost, you can still recover from it, but it changes the dynamic.
How much of your financial life do you want wrapped up into one risk?
Correct.
Right. So
this is
great.
true with NVIDIA right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, Larry, Rob, time flew. Thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it. So, all right, you guys, the takeaway is run, don't walk to your certified financial planner's office. Get that wise counsel, that guidance from a CFP doing comprehensive financial planning. That's all the time we have for today. On behalf of Kevin Korhorn, myself, all of us at Korhorn Financial Group, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.